Hey, welcome to another episode of Sports Uncorked. I'm your host, Rachel McCarter, and we have an amazing show for you today. I'm live from Las Vegas, Nevada for the opening round of March Madness, and I'm here to share all of the great details of the brackets, what to expect, a preview of the Sports Uncorked cruise brackets, and the theme of today's episode is going to be around respect, RESPCT. Where have we seen respect? Where have we seen no respect? And do we respect some of the decisions of where to seed teams and who to even put into the tournament? So definitely a treat. Thank you so much for listening and for being here today. I am not uncorking a bottle of wine this week. I know this is 2 weeks in a row and I'm sorry, I'm traveling, but I will be having a mimosa. I had a little bit of a late night last night. Still feel great. Don't worry. Definitely wanted to be fresh for today, but I'm having a mimosa during today's episode. So since I'm not uncorking a bottle of wine and sharing that with you, I thought I would share a little bit about the first four and those play-in games, because I personally I'm like, what is the purpose of this? Why do they get an 11 seed? I just had some questions around that. So I did a little bit of research and thought I would share that with you. The premise of this, it started back in 2011, and it was a premise of giving teams that maybe didn't win their conference championships, but were deserving of a possible opportunity to be part of the field, to give them an opportunity to have the opportunity to play into the tournament. So it's an expansion of the 64 team tournament to 68, and then giving 4 teams from Division 1 and then 4 teams from Division 2 an opportunity to play in and make a run into the tournament. So 2011 was the first year that this happened. The first year actually was a really great Cinderella story with VCU. They were an 11 seed. They played in, they won, and then they received that 11 seed. They defeated USC, and then they ended up taking down Georgetown, Purdue, Florida State, and number 1 Kansas, and made it all the way to the Final Four, where they lost to Butler. I'm sure now this is coming back for some of you, but that was the first year for this expansion, and you took a team that would not have even been in the tournament and sent them all the way to the Final Four, which was like absolutely insane. We had another Cinderella story that came out of this first 4 play-in game as well. UCLA in 2021, they barely made the preliminary tournament roster. They were one of these first 4 play-in games. They ended up beating Michigan State, BYU, Abilene Christian, who was also on their own Cinderella story trajectory, Alabama, and Michigan. They gave Gonzaga a really tough fight, and they also lost in that Final Four game. So 2 really good stories 10 years apart. So these play-in games really can give a team that is deserving, but maybe didn't have the resume, the opportunity to compete. And 2 of these teams have gone to the Final Four, which is just absolutely insane. You know, I think that sometimes we feel like, you know, the NCAA is trying to monetize and create more games. And I'm sure there's an element of that. But it is fun to see, you know, sometimes when they seed these teams and bring them in for them to go deep in the tournament, like, I think that's really, really fun. They also give them an 11 seed. I was like, well, why are they playing in and they get an 11 versus that 16? So the first 1 through 16 are always going to be like conference champions, or those that are deserving, maybe from lesser conferences. Those positions are already seeded. An 11 seed also, they feel like they have already played a game, which gives them a little bit more momentum going in. So that's kind of where they decided to like slot them in at 11, is if you play a play-in game, you've already had a win under your belt, that 11 spot is where they kind of decided that they would slot those buy-ins, not at 16, which I still think is a little bit weird, but whatever. I'm sure there's more method to the madness, other than just saying, like, we already have these other spots that are called for because of winners from other conferences. So a little bit of insight there. That was kind of what was on the top of my mind as we watched last night, the last Final Four, or the last first 4 play-in game where Xavier beat Texas. But yeah, I think that was really cool. So we'll bring Marisa in now and we'll talk about respect. I mean, I think this is going to be a super fun topic. Definitely, I'm sure you have some thoughts in your mind as you saw the tournament bracket unveiling, and we will cover a variety of topics here. So let's bring Marisa in. Hey, Riz.
Hey, Rach, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just living the dream. Another week, another hotel room, as you can see. I'm not in the podcast studio today.
Another whirlwind trip, huh?
I know. This is like my favorite event of the year, though. So I'm in Viva Las Vegas.
Best city in the world, right?
Yeah, I know. Like Viva Las Vegas, this is the coolest place I could find to record the podcast. So,
but honestly, like I can't think of a better place. Like, I think my favorite place to watch sports on a week like this week is in a casino sports book. So you're living it the right way.
That's where I'm going. As soon as we wrap this, I'm headed out for the day.
I love it. These are sports book. It's like my favorite place. Well, I like that we submitted our brackets at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. So we were twinning in a majority of our brackets, and we're twinning in our attire. So I like that we've got the same mindset going into March Madness.
Basic bitches here, right?
I love it. Listen, you can't go wrong with black.
Like black, scoop neck, it's slimming. Like we're like nailing it.
Shout out to Good American. We love you. Please send us more.
Yes. Please get us some more snatch jeans.
Oh, right.
Jeans. Yeah.
So, I love it.
The theme of today's episode, we talked a little bit about like what direction do we want to go as we enter the tournament. And we talked about like respect, RESPECT. Who's respected, who's disrespected.
Yeah.
And I think we naturally have to start with Carolina. Like I don't know about you, but I was shocked. I was literally blown away that they made it in the tournament because I think they have one of the most undeserving resumes of any of the schools that are actually in the tournament this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do you think they deserve respect for being in the tournament? A, should they be there? And then B, do we give them more respect for winning their play-in game?
I'm going to say no. I don't think that they deserve respect because even with their current ranking in their conference, it's not impressive enough to where I think that they should have been the last team in. Honestly, I think if we were being honest, we should have given a team like Georgia Tech a shot. Their ranking isn't as great, their schedule isn't as great, and their win-loss record isn't that great. But they played some really, really good basketball this season. I think it doesn't help that Bubba Cunningham is the AD for UNC and he's on the selection committee. I don't think that helps either. It seems like we're playing favoritism. Although, like, I think if I were Bubba Cunningham and it was my last year sitting on the selection committee, I probably would have thrown a Hail Mary and thrown my team in there last too. But I don't respect it. I don't think that UNC deserves to be there. They've not played very well at all this season. I even remember us talking about this in a previous episode. Like, where was UNC in the top 25 when we were talking about college basketball? I mean, I think we've been pretty consistent with who's been in the top 25 pretty much all season. Even Alabama that started out the year at number 1 dropped in the rankings quite a bit, but stayed respectively within their top 10. UNC was nowhere to be found at all. And so to kind of see them in the dance, like, love to see it because what's March Madness without those two big North Carolina teams playing basketball, but also, like, I don't think they care.
You remember when we did an episode about brand bias for college football? Mm-hmm. Like, this is 100% brand bias.
Oh, yeah,
and 100%. To your point, like, we're putting UNC in there just because they're UNC and they will travel to games and people will tune in to see Carolina and to bring the Carolina fans into the fold.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They had one quad 1 win, like 1 of 12. Mm-hmm. You have a team like West Virginia who played in a difficult conference. Mm-hmm. and they had 6 quad one wins. How do
Yeah.
you leave West Virginia or Indiana or Ohio State out, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a much more impressive resume to put Carolina in? Like,
Yeah.
I have no respect for this.
Yeah. But I think you make a good point, Rach. Like, UNC travels. How is UNC going to recruit? I mean, we have to go back and think about what the strengths and weaknesses are for some of these university athletic programs. Like, UNC is a powerhouse in basketball. No one is running up to Chapel Hill to play football. They're not. Like, I mean, this past year is kind of
Well,
showing something.
Belichick's recruiting the hell of people, so we'll see, right? He's
Yeah,
also
we'll see,
delivering
I guess.
to some front houses right now for the basketball team. I feel
That's
like
true.
that's part of this storyline too. Is like, how can we keep Bill Belichick relevant in the news from a
And maybe
football
that's what they're
standpoint?
doing. But maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're trying to leverage a March Madness appearance by UNC's basketball team into football season. It could be, I mean, that's pretty good brand strategy if you ask me, but I also don't think it's a deserving spot. So I do feel a lot of, again, people are playing chess with the pawns that is these university athletic departments to make money in the end. But I'm not going to say I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
respect the
fun
game.
to see Carolina in the tournament. I will say
Yeah.
that. And
I
they,
respect the game. I don't respect the decision.
yeah, okay. So the next, you'll love this one. So the next respect topic is: have you seen this like center for Wofford
Yeah.
who hits the free throw line and he throws up a granny shot? Like, that's how he does his free throws, is he like granny shots this?
I love it. I love it.
Respect? No respect. Like, I think it's
Respect.
awesome. I respect it.
Respect. Because how do you go out there on TV in front of a lot of people playing basketball? So you're already better than like like the common person on campus in a basketball game, and then throw the ball like that. Mad respect.
He's only 31% from the free throw line. Like, I feel like I could be 31% from the free throw line, but mad respect, because we would not be talking about him if he just shot regularly.
Oh yeah, not at all.
So
Not at all.
I'm tuning in to Wofford and Tennessee today to see this brother get fouled so I can watch him do his granny shots.
I love it though. But that'll be his thing, you know? I like it.
So St. John's is another school that they're a 2 seed. They've
Mm-hmm.
kind of been, I mean, I wouldn't say that they were like on my radar as a team that was going to go deep in the tournament, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can count Rick Pitino out anytime he's involved in the NCAA tournament. So are we
No.
respecting the Red Wave or are we not?
Oh, I say absolutely because I would have a really hard time being okay with allowing myself to say I don't respect St. John's with a coach like Rick Pitino. I
Yeah.
just absolutely adore him. I love his halftime locker room speeches. I love how he just like is so fired up. Like that's a coach that you love to see coaching basketball. That is like Coach K level basketball. Like that is for the love of the game coaching. And I'm for that. I like he could literally be coaching anything. He's got that passion for being a coach, especially a coach in basketball. I'd root for that guy any day.
And are we going to at some point uncancel him? Because he got canceled when he was
Yeah.
at Louisville.
Yeah.
And he went to like Iona for a couple of years. Now he's back to St. John's. Like, is he going to at some point be uncanceled and be able to come back to like a true Division One school?
Ooh, man, he beats Alabama probably.
Yeah. Like, what's the runway? What's the runway for being uncanceled now?
He beat Alabama.
Yeah.
That's a because then they'll lift him up on their shoulders. He beat
Totally.
Alabama. He took him down. Anybody that beats Alabama, they like make a parade out of it. So yeah, exactly. So that's probably. I mean, that's probably what it's gonna take. Just saying. But yeah, I think that he has, despite his background, um, it's respectable to see him coaching his team to get as far as they have.
I 100% agree.
Could be a Cinderella story. You never know. I think we haven't really seen a team that's going to be our Cinderella story. So that could be them.
Another team, like when the bracket release came out, that I felt was very disrespected was Michigan. Michigan won they won the Big Ten tournament. They have a very impressive resume, and they got seeded as a 5 seed, which I thought, really? Like, why? There was no method to that madness. That was ultimate disrespect.
I think so. It gets to a point, and I'm just like looking at the rankings now. I think it gets to a point where like you're good, but there are so many other good teams ahead of you. It just washes you out, which I hate to see because I have not watched a lot of Michigan ball this season, but I've seen enough to be like, okay, they're good. Like enough to where I'm like, I'm not worried about them. They'll go far. Um, but I think it's just there are much better teams. There's much better teams. I'm not saying they're bad, but there are much better teams.
And when you have 14 from the SEC, which were you shocked to see that?
Yeah.
Like, well, 14, that's like, we were talking about how 13 was going to be like this record.
Yeah.
And like to get 14 in,
I'm shocked by the number. I am shocked by the number for sure, but I'm not shocked by who is in the top half of those SEC teams. So like I am shocked, but I'm not shocked at the same time.
I think Georgia Gonzaga is going to be a really good game to watch today. And a really, really good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
The other matchup that I'm so excited to watch tonight is Kansas and Arkansas.
Yes.
You have, I mean, Kansas, what a horrible season to be like preseason #1 and then to like barely make it in the tournament, honestly, right? I mean, they were like, they weren't a bubble team, but if they would have lost a couple more games, they would have been a bubble team. But you have 2 Hall of Fame coaches going head to head with an 8-9 seed matchup.
Yeah.
Who do you have in this? Kansas, Arkansas. So we got Celtic versus Calipari.
Kansas, Arkansas. So, like I said, I got 4 brackets. I don't think we talked about how many brackets we got, but I've got 4 brackets. The one that matters, which is the Sports Uncorked bracket, I've got Kansas beating Arkansas. Because there are some teams in the SEC who I feel have done so well this season. Like, snaps up for Arkansas, snaps up for Texas A&M, snaps up for Mizzou. But it's like, welcome to the dance. You're not going to be here long. And I kind of think Arkansas is one of those teams. Like, they've played really, really well. They've showed great defense. They've shown great, just like, I want to say teamwork. They react to traffic in the paint really, really well. But I don't think it's enough to beat Kansas. I think that they have a record that's worth giving them a second look. And that's why, I mean, it's going to be a really good game, but I've got Kansas coming out on top in that one.
This was a really hard one for me because Arkansas has a really high ceiling. Like when they play and they are like locked and loaded and focused, I feel like they're a team that could beat anybody.
Yeah.
But they're low and their floor is really, it's bad. Like if they're not hitting shots, and this is probably like every team, but I do feel like Kansas has a bigger chip on their shoulder because of that preseason #1 ranking. Everyone is counting them out to say this is not the typical Kansas. This is the first time that they have been ranked like below a #4 seed since 2000. So like that talk tracks in the back of their head. They have a huge chip on their shoulder and they have a lot to prove. And I think that, not that I think Kansas is a better team than Arkansas, but I think where they are mentally and having all this dialogue and talk track of things that they need to prove is what's going to propel them over. And I think they will ultimately beat Arkansas. So I have them winning, but that was a really hard, like, devil angel on my shoulder debate that I had in my head. Like, who am I going to pick?
Yeah. One of my brackets actually have Arkansas. So like I said, I've got so many brackets, but one of my brackets, I've got Arkansas, that being an upset. So with Arkansas winning and then them going to play St. John's, oh my goodness. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Although, it's so interesting. And I was talking to some friends earlier. I wish that I wasn't such a sports fanatic because the whole process of like putting together a bracket has become like so emotionally draining on me now. Like I just remember like back in the day, I was picking teams based off of like whether or not I like their mascot. And now like I have done so much like in-depth research and like I found this really, really good article that DraftKings posted the other day about which I think I can go ahead and it's fair to share because it's after 12:15 Eastern. If you've already put your bracket in, you're screwed. But here's the logic behind what some people did in creating their brackets. But the article is based on trends. One of these two teams will win March Madness based on these four rules. So, rule number 1, no team west of Texas has won since 1997. So, that goes straight out the gate and eliminates 13 teams with 55 teams remaining. Rule number 2, no seed higher than 8 has made it to the title game. Kicks out 29 teams. So, we got 26 teams left. And rule number 3 is the last 20 champs have been ranked in the top 12 by week 6. That brings you down to Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Auburn, Marquette, Kansas, Iowa State, Alabama, Purdue, and Duke. Rule number 4, the last 19 of 22 champs have top 20 ADJ offense with the top 40 adjusted defense. So now we're down to Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, Iowa State, Alabama, and Duke. And then the last rule, so 5, that's my bad. The last 21 of 22 champs have either been UConn or in the top 3. So now it's either between Florida or Duke. And that is the logic that DraftKings came up for picking who is going to win this whole thing. But there are so many teams that have played so well, even in their last 4 games was really defining moment for how they got here. So it's been really hard trying to figure out like who's going to take it all. But what's interesting, at least in my brackets, the last 4 are all the same. The path there, though, varies quite a bit.
Yeah. So I feel like probably most people have at least 3 brackets. And I think you need to have a minimum of 3 because you need to have one of what you think will happen, one of what you think will happen, one that you research, and then one that you hope will happen.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So like, I have one where I'm like, what I hope will happen is Alabama wins. So I have a bracket where Alabama wins. I have a bracket where I've done a lot of research and have gone back and forth and tooled things. And like I have Duke winning that one. And then I have one that what I think will happen, which is our Sports Uncorked, and that's Florida winning. So I feel like a minimum of 3. You have 4, which is great. But I do think that there are, like you said, so many emotions tied to it that you have to have like, okay, this is my emotional bracket. This is my like, scientific.
Well, it is emotional. This is tradition. I mean, like, this isn't our season because our season is college football, but this is like the season for some people.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. And so I actually want to ask you this. So I know that you said that you had a couple brackets. Do you name your brackets?
No, they're like super boring. They're
fun name?
super boring. They're like R. McCarter 1 picks.
All right. I always get into like the fantasy football team names and the bracket names. I think that's like one of my favorite parts of this. Like I always say, like my own emotional manipulation of how I think sports should be played. Fantasy football, I think it was like 7 years ago, my fantasy football team was rolling with my homies. This year I named my bracket Baby Billy Bracket Busters, which is based off of the Righteous Gemstones Baby Billy's Bible bumpers, which I think was really, really funny. But some of the best March Madness bracket names based on 2024 is Getting in the Zone, based off Tom Izzo.
Yeah. Catching
the Dots for Dalton Ketch. Follow the Shepherd.
Connecting the dots.
Oh, you're right. It is Connecting the Dots. Dalton Connect. Is that his name? Connect?
Yeah. Connect.
Ugh,
Yeah.
sorry, dyslexia is slipping in. Bracket, oh so good. Full Metal Bracket, March Sadness, The Church of Bracketology, March Madmen, Zion's Bracket, which is named after Zion Williamson, and Ruse Run. Some of the best March Madness bracket names.
That's funny. My fantasy football name, I can give you that. It's Victorious Secret.
Oh, I love that.
That's like what I always use.
Well, if you need some more inspiration, Back to the Future and Hoop There It Is also available.
I like connecting the dots. That's awesome for Dalton Connect at Tennessee. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
So I'm excited. It's always hard for me to focus until we get to this time because there's so many basketball games on, and like, don't tell our bosses we're watching basketball in the middle of the day.
I took the day off, for the record.
Yeah.
I took the day off.
Yeah, well, I did not. So don't tell my boss I'm watching basketball in the middle of the day. But also, in my defense, it is my lunch hour. So all that to say, it's going to be an exciting day because scores are literally coming in as we speak. Right now, Creighton and Louisville are playing. It is second half.
Here.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, I don't know if people can see the score, but upset alert. Upset alert. So my bracket's already busted.
I did pick Creighton because they're a badass team.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays flying high.
Well, I take that back. One of my brackets is busted. So, yeah, we got Creighton up right now. We've got Wisconsin up right now. And let's see who else is playing. I think that's it for right now, but oh no, I'm lying. Houston is playing. It's a tie game. Purdue is up on High Point, so it's a good day to watch basketball.
Yeah, we're rolling. I love it. And Bama plays tomorrow.
Bama plays tonight.
Oh, Robert Morris. I was like, is that the cigarette company?
Oh, it is, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a college.
Philip Morris. Philip Morris. God, you should know this.
They make cigarettes?
Oh. Philip Morris. Yeah, some of these names I had never heard of before. Yeah, so that's why I think, as far as like Alabama's future goes, I think they've got a good shot tonight. I don't think that God, please don't let them get beat by a school named Robert Morris. I will return my degree tomorrow.
We're going to, like, the two curses coming back.
I know. I'm like not letting it see the light of day. Just keeping my hair down, keeping it covered. Just rub it, scratch it off. Yeah, basically. So I don't know. I have us going all the way to the Elite Eight, and then
losing to Duke.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll just see. But I think we got it against Robert Morris. I think we got it against St. Mary's. I think we have that in the bag, even with us missing Grant Nelson, who we're definitely going to miss. But I don't think that we need him. So I think this is good recuperation time. Yeah, hopefully. Well, and it's interesting because I think the one thing that I've noticed with Bama is that similar to the football season, the later we get in the season, the more lazy we get, the more simple mistakes we get, the cockier we get. So I think as long as we can keep focus like we did in the years past, keep focus, continue to play really good defense, and then we've got it. But depending on how this I got BYU, not BYU, VCU playing Wisconsin. If we have to play Wisconsin, or VCU, I hope we got our head in the game.
Yeah. Well, just remember we have the number one scoring offense in the country.
Yep.
So if we can continue to score and, to your point, play enough defense to not let the other team put up points on us, then I think we should be okay.
Oh yeah, we can play defense, but we also need to play clean defense because a lot of the time we are losing out. We're losing out on getting extra points because of stupid things like flagrant fouls and stuff. Just get it together, you guys.
All right. Well, this was fun. I can't wait for regroup next week and see like who's leading our bracket challenge. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
for sure.
there'll be so many storylines and Cinderella stories. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and I love it. I think this is
Oh
just
yeah.
it's so fun. I mean, we're gonna see upsets today, and
Ugh,
it's
for
gonna be
sure.
amazing.
But it's okay. I think it's
Yeah.
okay for us to have upsets because at the end of the day, we all have Auburn, Florida, Duke, Tennessee, Houston, Gonzaga. Like the Elite Eight is what matters. Like that's the only thing I really care about at this point. The path there is weird, but my Final Four is pretty much locked in.
And it'll be interesting. I think one of the number one seeds is going to go down. Not today, but I think they'll go down in the Sweet 16.
Who?
I think Houston goes down. That's who I pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I
I
think,
got yeah.
yeah.
I think Tennessee's going to give them the business.
Yep. I have them in my Final Four, but that's the upset that I can see coming for a number one seed.
Same.
Connecting
Just
the dots.
twinning.
We're connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots. Yeah. I love it. We're twinning all the way to the very end.
All right, lady. It was good to chat. Let's see what treat Lou has in store for us today.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Hi.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Where does this Thursday, well, afternoonish find you, Rachel? Where are you traveling these days?
Well, this week I'm in Vegas for March Madness. It's like my favorite event every year to come and sit in a sports book and watch all of the games for the opening round. So that's where I am today. I was like trying to find a place to record that was much cooler than my hotel room, but everything's so loud that I ended up sitting on the floor of my hotel room. So that's where I
I
am. I actually am in Las Vegas. I can see the strip.
Understandable, understandable. Um, and I am envious, as I'm sure Marissa is, that we're not there with you having a good time. And are you drinking already? I mean, what is it, nine
Um,
o'clock in the morning there?
It is 10:30, and I did
Oh,
stop. I did stop and get a mimosa at the lobby bar
okay,
this
okay.
morning because I
Good for
can't
you.
do this show with no drink, right? I mean,
Damn
that's
right.
kind of the purpose of the show.
Damn right. I have no beverage, but I'll live vicariously through you. You'll notice I do still have my Major League Baseball win chart up behind me. You can expect that to continue through the baseball season, but. Um, but I will not be giving you any in-depth updates on that model, other than to say I'm gonna have to roll it out when the MLB season starts in April. I was thinking of testing it preseason, spring training, but too many variables to account for there. So more to come on that. Let's talk brackets. Let's talk college basketball. So we're in a little competition between the three of us, and I'm already looking. So it's like 1:30 Eastern time. So the Creighton Louisville game is underway, and I'm already at risk of
Rockin'.
losing my first ball game, the very first ball game. So I'm just curious. Did you guys take Creighton or
Yeah,
Louisville?
One of my brackets, I did take Creighton.
Did you? Yeah,
I
I
Yeah,
took.
took
the
bit.
one that matters, I did not. But
Yeah,
my other two brackets, I've got Creighton winning, beating Louisville.
gotcha. Well, we'll see. I mean, hey, Louisville could come back, but that's not a very auspicious start. So I will say. So, did you guys use any external data, insight, expertise when you put your picks together, or did you just do it based upon gut instinct and I don't know, whatever you usually use, insight, intelligence, things I'm in short supply of.
I use my brain and my gut, so not a lot of insights. Just who's on a hot streak, who's maybe gone into a losing streak on the back half of the season. Some injuries, those types. Who
Yeah,
typically performs well in the tournament. So that's kind of the stuff that I use. I feel like there's no method to the madness though. Like you can research all day long and it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, and I agree. And there are upsets galore that are going to happen. So and that's the thing that makes March Madness so magical and maddening to some extent. So I will admit I used Nate Silver's Silver Bulletin college basketball model, so to speak. And I talked, I think in our very first episode, I talked about Nate Silver and he's a statistician. He does these projection models on elections and all this other stuff. So I'll just share with you what his model says about who the favorites are. So his model has Duke as a with an 18.5% chance of winning it all. And then that's followed by Houston, 15.6%, Florida at 13.8%, Auburn at 11.8%, and Alabama at 5.4%. So that's kind of odds. Now, and you can see that the favorite, so to speak, Duke at 18.5% is still more than an 80% odds not to be the champion. So it's not saying that Duke will. It's just a kind of the statistical chance, but that's who he's got as a favorite, and that's who, by the way, I took to go all the way and win it, primarily because I have to root for my main man, Cooper Flag. So we'll see.
He'll hopefully be healthy, right? I mean,
Well,
that's the other
yes.
thing. Yeah.
All indications are that he is back to 100%, but we'll see. And the first couple of games obviously are not big tests. So if they play him for 20 minutes and rest him for 20 minutes is no big deal. So how are you guys feeling about your alma mater, Alabama? Pretty good, or do you have them going all the way?
I have them losing in the Elite Eight. I mean, my original bracket I shared with Marissa, I'm like, I think I have some issues
You
with the
four
SEC because I have
teams
four
go to the Final
SEC teams
Four.
in the Final Four. I was like, I feel like I
Could
have to go
happen.
back and revisit this, but it can totally happen, right? So
Could
I
Yeah.
mean,
happen. Yep.
so I have Florida, Michigan State, Duke, and Houston now. But I did have Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn.
Love it.
I mean, we have 14 teams in the tournament. Like that's and like some of them are really good.
Yeah, I've got Auburn, Florida in the Final Four, playing each other, obviously, and
Yeah.
then Duke and Houston. So you can see I went number one seeds all the way. You know, and will that happen? No, probably one of those number one seeds is going to get displaced, at least one. Probably could be early on, maybe not in the first maybe two rounds, but in that Sweet 16 round.
Yeah.
I think that's typically when it happens. So I don't know. We'll see. Should be fun anyway. Should be fun to compete against you guys in this.
Yeah, I think that I would have Bama going further if there weren't question marks around Grant Nelson.
100%.
Uh,
That for me, that's the question mark. Like I think we have the squad to do it with a healthy Grant Nelson.
Yeah. We
did he
lose a
get
lot of height
injured?
when we don't have him.
And he's
Gotcha.
like and he's a solid 15, 16 point in the paint performer.
Yeah.
And you could see like how our team performed in the second half of the game against Florida in the SEC tournament without him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was a big
So
loss.
so what's the latest read on him? Is he not going to play at all in this first round, or TBD?
It's been quiet. I mean, I haven't heard them say yes or no. I think they're
They
going to
don't
try to
have
rest him as much as they can.
yeah. They haven't
Gotcha.
made they haven't listed him as starting or being questionable or anything yet. So we're kind of just on standby, which is probably a good tactic for
Well,
them.
again, you can get through these first couple of rounds, presumably pretty easy. Give him more time to rest up, and then hopefully he's there for the Sweet 16 round when you'll
Yeah.
when you'll really need him. So, yeah, yeah. And maybe the same thing with Cooper Flag. We'll see. So have you bought into the fact that Auburn is not as strong as they look during the rest of the regular season? You probably already talked about this to some extent, but I apologize if I'm rerunning over territory you've already covered.
No, I mean, I think Auburn has the squad. What gives me pause about Auburn is they've lost 3 of their last 4. So they're
Right.
they're kind of on this like downward trajectory. And part of that is like the games that they've had to play are ridiculous. I mean, that's going through the gauntlet of the SEC tournament and then
Mhm.
having to play like the last couple of games in the SEC too. So I don't know that I fault them for that, but I think mentally it kind of gets in your head when we've lost 3 in a row or 3
Yeah.
out of
I
4.
Mhm.
agree. They're losing steam and it's kind of sucks to see it, but I don't want to count them out because they are such a strong team. I think when it comes to them, I don't know. In my bracket, I've got them going head to head against Florida. And I think Florida is going to eat their lunch. And that is when, they have really given it. I think they are going to give it all they got to get to that Elite Eight position.
Yeah.
And then when they get to, I mean, based on my bracket, when they hit Florida, it's game over for them.
Done. So who do you have them playing in the championship game? Duke or Houston, or neither?
I
I
have
have,
Duke.
yeah,
Duke playing Florida.
I have Duke playing Florida.
That'd be a great game. Um, Duke Auburn. So Duke and Alabama are potentially, if they're going to meet when? Sweet
Elite
16
Eight.
or Elite Eight?
Yeah, Elite Eight.
Well, that should be interesting.
I know, right? And that's where I was like, if we have a healthy Grant Nelson, I think we challenge Duke.
Right.
Without that question mark around him is what gives me pause that we would be able to win that game.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it should be fun. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I don't lose my first game out of the gate, but it looks like it'll happen that way. I was looking at the other
Yeah.
one. The other one that's going on right now is Purdue and High Point, and I can't believe High Point is like tied at the half. Maybe
That's an
no, 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 no.
upset I picked.
Did you? Well, no. The latest halftime is Purdue's up by 10,
I was going to
thirty-seven
say, I think
twenty-seven.
35 to 25 Purdue
When I,
That's
up.
when I looked at it earlier, they were tied, and I'm like, oh my God, that can't happen.
Yeah,
But
right
maybe.
now
wait.
at halftime, Purdue's got 37 and High Point's 27. So
Yeah.
they've got a solid 10-point stance against them. But I don't know. Purdue has kind of climbed their way into the
Yeah.
4th position. So they could pull it
Wasn't
off.
it wasn't it Purdue a couple of years ago that was the number one seed and they lost to 16? I
Something
think
like
they
that.
did.
Yeah.
I think they did. So cool. Well, ladies, I will bid you adieu. I need to get back to the work here. Rachel needs to get back to the drinking and the partying and the March
Yeah.
Madness, I'm
I got to
sure.
get back to
Yep.
watching this game.
Yep. 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 Awesome. Awesome. Marissa, great to see you again.
Bye.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week, and hopefully our brackets are not all completely busted by then.
Please, please.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
Bye bye.
Have a good week.
My bad.